Welcome to Combo Compendium. This is going to be my new series where I take a deck or an archetype along with all of its variations and show you all of the basic combos you need to know to get you started. Today I'm covering Orcust, which is my favorite deck of all time, which is a deck that's also seen a ton of different variations over the years. But right now I have three that are the most popular that I'm going to cover. First, I'm going to start with just some pure basic combos if you only see Orcusts and nothing else. And then I'm going to cover the scrap combos, which you've probably seen before because it's pretty standard at this point, but I'll show it to you again anyway. And then there's Mekk-Knight, which is my favorite version of the deck and actually has a ton of synergy and really cool combos that I'm going to show you. And then there's the Rokket Dragon Orcust deck, which is kind of hard to make a combo video on because all of the combos kind of revolve around your starting hand, and it's going to be different every single game, but I'm going to do my best to show you a little bit to kind of give you an idea about what the deck can do. And then I'm also been testing the new punk support cards with Orcust as well, because with Note coming out in Dimension Force, they have really easy access to Chaos Ruler, and they also have built-in discard outlets in their own archetype. So if you want to see the dedicated Punk Orcust combo video that I'm going to make soon, then make sure you subscribe to see that. And with that out of the way, let's get into the combos. Alright, we're going to start out with some really simple stuff, just involving some pure Orcust cards. And this is going to be for those of you who aren't too familiar with the deck, just something that'll get you started, and you can kind of, from here you can kind of pivot into whatever splashable engine you want to, or you can just keep running it pure. So this is going to be a simple, the most simple combo in the entire video. It's just one Girsu, and we're going to normal summon it. We're going to use its effect on summon to send the Knightmare to grave. Now we're going to use its effect to pass out some tokens. So we're going to give one to us and one to our opponent. Next, we can link off our own token or link Karibo. From here, we can link for the Galatea, and then we can banish the Knightmare in the graveyard, targeting our own Galatea, sending the wand. So it'll gain 800 attack until the end of the turn, but that's not really the important part here. Next we're going to banish the wand, which lets us summon a banished Orcust monster, which is the Knightmare. Next, from here, we're going to use Galatea's effect. We're going to shuffle back this World Wand back into the deck, and then set the Orcust Babble from the deck, which is the field spell, and we're just going to go ahead and flip it up to activate it. Next, we're going to overlay on top of the Galatea for a Girsu. Now, Girsu, if we had a banished machine, we could attach it to it as material, but right now we don't. So to finish up, we're just going to link these two off for a IP Masquerena. Now, so Babble, what it does is it lets us use our Orcust effects as if they were quick effects on the opponent's turn. So we're going to end on just the IP, but during the opponent's draw phase or standby phase, we're going to banish the Knightmare to send a symbol skeleton to the grave. Now what this lets us do is at any point during our opponent's turn, we can banish the skeleton to summon back the Girsu. And Girsu, when he's summoned, we can send a card our opponent controls to the grave. So we can banish, summon, send something, and then if we need another disruption, we can use IP effect during the main phase to link into a Knightmare Unicorn. And then we can just discard a random card to target a card on the field and shuffle it back into the deck. So it's a really simple 2 interruption combo just off of the 1 Girsu. And unfortunately, without Harp Horror, that's about all we can do. Next is going to be a combo if you draw Girsu and Knightmare. If you're an Orcust veteran, you've probably drawn Knightmare more times than you can count. So what should you do if you draw the Knightmare? Well, we're going to start the same way as last time. We're going to summon out the Girsu, except this time we're going to send Brass Bombard. I have started playing Brass Bombard in my Orcust decks just for this reason, because it happens way too much. Then we're going to use the Girsu effect, again giving both players a token, and then linking off for the Link Kuriboh once again. Now we're going to banish the Brass Bombard, which lets us summon a Orcust from hand. So we're going to summon out the Knightmare. Then we will link off the Link Kuriboh and the Knightmare. We're going to keep the Girsu here to go into a Galatea. Then we will use the Knightmare, banishing itself, targeting the Galatea to send the Wand. And then we will Wand, summon back Knightmare. And then we're going to Galatea. We're going to shuffle this back into the deck to get the Babel. And then from here, we're going to overlay or a ding. We will use Ding's effect to attach a material that is banished. And then we're going to finish off by linking these two for a Verte Anaconda. Now, we're going to use Verte's effect. We're going to pay 2,000 to send the instant fusion to summon out Winda. So Winda makes it so both players can only summon once, or special summon once per turn. And instant fusion would destroy it during the end phase, but Girsu lets us protect any card we control from destruction by detaching a material. So we're going to go to the end phase. We're going to detach the Wand so that the Winda stays alive going into our opponent's turn. So now it's our opponent's turn. They can only special summon one time. Our board is protected by the Ding, and we have tons of follow-up. We have the Knightmare, the Girsu, and the Wand, all for follow-up on the next turn. But we also have the Babel, so you can just use Knightmare to pump up your Winda's attack, send a skeleton or something. So this board has a little bit more to it than the last one, but it gives you greater follow-up because you went through more Orcust names. Next, we're going to move into the Scrap segment. The Scrap monsters will allow us to send multiple machines from our deck to our graveyard in the course of just one combo. So it'll let us extend way past what our normal Orcust plays would let us do. So we're going to normal summon the Scrap Raptor. We're going to use his effect, destroying himself, to get an extra normal summon of a Scrap monster. And then when he's destroyed, we can add the Scrap Recycler. We can then use our extra normal on the Recycler, which will then send a machine from deck to grave. So we're going to send a Rosenix. Then we're going to banish the Rosenix to summon a token to our side of the field. And this token is a machine, so we will link 2 here for Scrap Wyvern. Then we're going to set one random card from our hand that can be set on the field. So it can be a spell or trap. Well, it doesn't have to be set. If you have a danger monster like a Tsuchinoko, you can also use that as well. It's just any expendable card that can be put on the field. So we're going to use Scrap Wyvern's effect. We're going to summon the Recycler and then destroy the Recycler, which will then let us summon a Scrap from our deck. So we're going to summon the Scrap Golem. And then we have to destroy a card we control, so we're going to destroy this random card that we don't need. Scrap Golem, we're going to use his effect to summon a scrap from our graveyard. So we're going to summon the Recycler. Recycler is going to dump the World Legacy World Wand, because we need a World Legacy monster in graveyard so that we can go into our Lib. Now Lib, if you have a World Legacy monster in grave, we can set a spell or trap, World Legacy spell or trap, to our side of the field and activate it this turn. But before we activate this succession, we're going to link off these two for a 2 material Appaloosa. So this will protect the rest of our plays from being hand trapped, although your opponent can Nibiru you before this point. So if they Nibiru you beforehand, then you'll just have to play with whatever else you have in your hand. So now we're going to use the succession, which will bring back the Golem, and the Golem will bring back the Recycler, because none of these cards are once per turn. Next we're going to Recycler, we're going to dump the Knightmare. So now, as you can see, we're at the same point where we have these Orcust cards in our graveyard, but now we also have all this extra material on the field, just by using the scrap engine. So let's start making our Orcust plays here. We're going to banish the Knightmare, and we're going to send a skeleton to grave. And then we're going to go ahead and banish the wand, summon back the Knightmare. From here we are going to make our... We are locked into darks by this point, so we're just going to make our Galatea. We're going to use Galatea to shuffle back the Rosanix into the deck to grab the Babel as usual. First we're going to simple skeleton to summon back the Knightmare, because we want this skeleton banished. And then we're going to go into the Girsu, which will then attach the skeleton that we just banished. And then you can probably see where this is going. We're going to go into the Verte. Now from here, you already have the Appaloosa and the Ding. So if you have something other than Winda, like DPE, you can also make that here. But I prefer just making the Winda. And then, of course, during the end phase, we're going to detach the skeleton to protect our Winda from being destroyed. And then during our opponent's turn, we have a ton of things we can do. The first one is we have the Babel, which makes our Knightmare a quick effect. So during our opponent's draw or standby, we're going to banish the Knightmare targeting our Appaloosa. And we're going to send a Gizmek Orochi. What this will do is increase our Appaloosa's attack by 800, essentially turning her from a 2 negator into a 3 negates. And if our Ding somehow gets destroyed, we also have the Symbol Skeleton in grave that we can banish to summon him back, and then send a card our opponent controls to the grave. And then, if we ever need it, there's also the Gizmek that we can summon out onto the field during our opponent's turn as well. So this combo can be very oppressive, and it gives you a ton of follow-up, just off of the Scrap Raptor and a disposable card. Next, we're going to delve into some combos involving the Mekk-Knight monsters, because Girsu, if you didn't know, is also a Mekk-Knight, and has some really good synergy with the cards. So this is going to be a 1-card Girsu combo that goes through a Mekk-Knight line. So we're going to start with our normal summon. This time, instead of the wand, we're going to send the World Legacy World Armor. And then we're going to use Girsu's effect. We're going to get some tokens. Now here, the column placement actually matters, because Mekk-Knights are a column-based strategy. Link these off here. We're going to go for the Lib. Now the Lib, since we have the Mekk-Knight engrave, or since we have the World Armor engrave, we can get the Succession, and then we can use the Succession to summon the Armor. the armor, when it's summoned, can search a World Legacy card. So we're going to get memory here. Then we're going to activate the memory. We're going to summon out the purple. Then we're going to use purple effect, banish it until my next standby phase to add blue to hand. Then we're going to special blue because there's 2 cards in the same column. And since our opponent controls one of those cards, we can add 1 Mekk-Knight to our hand. So we're going to add the Indigo Eclipse. And we're going to link these 2 off now. We are locked into Mekk-Knights now after using the World Legacy's memory. We're going to make Morningstar. Morningstar's effect, we're going to discard a Mekk-Knight monster to add World Legacy's secret to hand. And then we're going to finish off by linking these 2 off for a Avramax. And when Lib is linked off, we're going to send the token our opponent controls to the grave. So we don't want our opponent having access to a free monster on field. So we're just going to set the World Legacy secret, and then during our opponent's turn we can flip it up and summon back the Indigo Eclipse. So World Legacy secret negates the activated effects of a monster that was activated in that column. If our opponent uses a monster effect, we can summon back the Indigo, negate the effect that activated in the column that we summoned the Indigo to, and Indigo's effect lets him move around once per turn. So essentially we have this zone permanently negated, and then we have 2 more negates in different zones thanks to the Indigo. Next is a combo involving Girsu plus either purple or blue. It can be either one of these 2, it pretty much does the same thing. So first we're going to start by summoning out our Girsu, and just like last time we're going to dump the world armor. Then we will use Girsu's effect, summoning out some tokens. But instead of making Lib right off the bat here, we're going to link off this guy for a Link Karibo. So now we have a column set up. So we're going to summon the purple. We're going to banish the purple to summon blue. Blue is going to search for our Indigo. Next we will use these 2 to go into our Lib. Then we can use Lib to get our succession once again. And we can use it to summon back our World Armor. And World Armor will add our World Legacy secret. Then we will link these 2 off for Morningstar. And Morningstar, of course, will discard to add the World Legacy Whisper. So World Legacy Whisper is the same as Secret, where it negates a card type in the same column, but Whisper will negate spells. So now once again, we're going to go into the Avramax, and then Lib will get rid of the token. And then during the opponent's turn, we can flip up the Secret and the Whisper, and we can use our Indigo to negate both monsters and spells that are on the field. But this is an Orcust video, so let's show a combo that leans a little bit more into the Orcust side of things. So we have our starting hand of Girsu purple yet again. We're going to normal the Girsu, but this time we're going to send the Knightmare. And then we're going to use the Girsu, get out our tokens, link off the token for the Link Karibo, and then we will summon the purple to this column, use the purple effect, banish, to get blue, special blue. Blue will add the Indigo to hand. Then we will link these 2 off for Morningstar. Morningstar will discard the Indigo, adding the Secret again, and now we can start going for some Orcust stuff. because we still have the Knightmare engrave. So we'll use the Knightmare, dump the wand, and then banish the wand, summon back the Knightmare. Link these two off for Galatea, and then we will Galatea effect shuffle back the wand to get the Crescendo. So now with this combo, we're very trap heavy. We have the Secret, which of course can bring back the Indigo, and then move around for monster negates, and the Crescendo, which is an Omni negate and a banish. And the Morningstar and the Galatea being linked gives them kind of battle protection. So this board's a little annoying to get around because you have to play around a counter trap Omni negate as well as the column negating from the Indigo. Now we're going to get into the more Rokket Dragon Link Orcust style of deck. This style of deck is popular because dragons can make Chaos Ruler very easily, and Chaos Ruler can be a very good Orcust enabler. Now before I start, the thing I want to mention about the dragon combos is that they won't look that impressive, and it's because dragons as a deck, depending on the hand, the combos that they go through are way different every single game. So you have to keep in mind that this is just 1 and 2 card combos that I'm going to be showing you. You still have tons of other dragons and extenders that can make your combo better than what I'm showing you here. So don't roast me in the comments being like, oh, this board sucks. Well, that's because I'm not doing like a full test hand. I'm just doing a 1-card combo. So we're going to start with just the Seyfert here. We're going to normal summon it. We're going to use its effect tributing itself to get the Collapse Serpent. We're going to banish the Seyfert, summon the Collapse Serpent, and then link this guy off for the Striker Dragon. We're going to do Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 2 add Boot Sector, and Chainlink 1 add Wyvern Burster. Then we can summon the Wyvern Burster by banishing a Dark Monster. And from here we can go into our Dragoonity Knight Romulus. Romulus is going to add the Dragon Ravine, which we will then activate so that we can discard a card, sending a Abzorouter Dragon to the grave, which will add our Rokket Tracer. Then we will replace the Ravine with the Boot Sector and use Boot Sector to summon out the Tracer. Tracer will pop the Boot Sector, summoning out Recharger, and now we are locked into Darks for the rest of the turn. But that's fine because we're going to be making Orcust plays. We're going to go into Chaos Ruler here. Now this is where RNG is going to come in a little bit. We're going to use Chaos Ruler and assume that we hit a Knightmare. We've already thinned out our deck a good bit, so the chances of us hitting a Knightmare is decently high if you play 3, which most Rokket decks play 3 because if you draw it, there's tons of discards. So we're just going to assume that we hit the Knightmare here. So we're going to use the Knightmare. We're going to dump the wand. And then we're going to banish the wand to summon the Knightmare. Then we can link these two off for the Galatea. Galatea will then shuffle the wand back into the deck to get ourselves a Babel. And then we can use Chaos Ruler effect engrave to summon him out by banishing a light and a dark. So we're going to banish the Abzorouter and the Wyvern Burster. Now from here we're just going to make our ding, and we don't have any material to attach because we shuffled back the wand to get the Babel. So he's just going to have 1 material. And then lastly we're going to go into the Verte, and then Verte, send, fusion, summon Winda, end phase, protect the Winda. So, like I said, it's not too impressive, right? In terms of Dragon Link standards. But remember what I said earlier, that this is just off of one card, and you might have 3 or 4 other cards in your hand to help extend your plays. So this is kind of maybe like a plan B option for you if you're playing this deck. You can kind of go for the Ding Winda combo if they interrupt your other dragon plays. So this next combo is going to be a bit scuffed, because typically in Rokket Orcust you only play 1 or maybe 2 Girsu at most. So you're not very likely to get this hand, but nonetheless it's still possible. So I'm going to show you what you can do with a hand like this. So we're going to normal Girsu. We're actually going to send the World Legacy World Wand here. Then we're going to use Girsu's effect, summon out some tokens. And then we're going to go ahead and activate our quick launch to summon a Tracer from deck. Now, since we have a World Legacy monster in grave, we're going to summon Lib. Now this is weird, but stay with me. We're going to use Lib here to get World Legacy Guard Dragon. I feel like people forget that this card is actually a World Legacy card sometimes. So we're going to use the Guard Dragon, we're going to summon back the Tracer. And then Tracer, we're going to pop the Guard Dragon to summon a Rokket from deck. And we are now locked into Dark Monsters. We're going to synchro these two for Chaos Ruler. Now again, a little bit of RNG here, but we're just going to assume that off the Chaos Ruler we mill a Knightmare. We're just going to assume. So then from here we're locked into Darks already, so we might as well go through our Orcust line here. We're going to activate Knightmare, send Skeleton, and then we're going to banish the Wand to summon back the Knightmare. We're going to link these off for a Quad Boral. Now we're going to use Quad Boral here. We're going to discard just some random card. We're going to pop itself. And we're going to summon back the Recharger and the Tracer. And from here we can just synchro them again for Borload. Borload is going to equip from grave the Quad Boral. And now from here we have just a whole bunch of Orcust plays we can make. So we're going to go straight into the Galatea here. And with Galatea we're going to put back the Wand. If you're going for the Winda play, you can get the Babel. And if you have DPE and you're playing DPE instead of Winda, you can get Crescendo. But this, I'm going to show you the Winda play, so we're going to get the Babel here. Next, now that we have a light engrave with Lib, we can banish the Lib and the Recharger to summon back Chaos Ruler. And then we can banish the Skeleton to summon back the Knightmare. And we can link these off for the Verte. And here's where I said if you have DPE, you can just get the Crescendo instead. Because you could set the Crescendo, and then you'd have Savage, DPE, and then the Counter Trap Omni Negate. Alright, before we use the Verte effect, we're going to overlay for a copy of Ding. Ding will attach the Skeleton. And then we will finish with the Instant Fusion into Winda. And then end phase we can detach the Skeleton. So this board is kind of similar to any other Ding Winda board. But we have the Savage as an Omni Negate now, and we have pretty much every Orcust card in our graveyard that we could ever want. Plus we used Chaos Ruler. So it's very possible that you have other extenders. Maybe you can go into an IP Masquerena, or maybe you hit a, off of your 5 mills, you might hit the Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So you can use that to rip a card out of your opponent's hand as well.